Thanks for coming back, Governor Scott, to clarify a few things with us this evening.
Sure, no problem. Always glad to do it.
Some of your detractors have said the decision to kill high-speed rail was overstepping your powers.
Losers often whine.
Yes, well, this hardly qualifies as an explanation.
Unions shouldn't have the right to collectively bargain.
We were talking about high-speed rail.
Sure, whatever.
Before you were elected, you said you would bring in 700,000 new jobs. How is it you just voted to kill 24,000 potential jobs and throw away $2.4 billion in federal funds for the project?
I would like to thank my Secretary of State Kurt Browning in his love of touchscreen voting, and I would certainly love to give a great big wet slathering kiss to the people at Diebold Voting Systems. They should expect no problem with certification issues, nor in getting lucrative contracts from the state of Florida in the future. Know what I mean, bro?
Well, I am not sure I like the sound of that.
Whatever.
Back to high-speed rail.
I like Donald Trump. He's my main man. If I could be reincarnated, I'd like to come back as his dog.
What a very strange interview this is becoming.
Okay, so you want to know what the deal is with high-speed rail?
Yes, fucking. Please?
High-speed rail means jobs that is to say, me, myself and I, didn't bring to the state. But rather that other guy, that what's his name, that Charlie somebody, who worked with the black dude in the White House.
I'm sorry. I think you had better explain that.
Don't you get it? This is a movie where I, myself, am the hero. I can't very well permit someone else to get the credit for creating jobs.
So Floridians should do without needed jobs so that any new jobs that happen, you will get the credit for.
You got it.
Simply amazing. Were you dropped on your head as a child?
Oh, I could sit here and use one of my 5 lawyers to have a legal argument. I could give you my prepared answer here.
Which is what?
Look, I am worried that the cost overruns will fall back on the taxpayers. Don't you get that? What's wrong with you?
The cost overruns are to be absorbed by the contractors. That was all worked out, wasn't it?
Say that again.
Are you going to punch me?
No, I am going to show you a little trick of mine. Go on, say it.
It has been agreed that cost overruns will be paid by the contractors. That's all been worked out, hasn't it?
Look, I am worried about cost overruns falling back on the taxpayers. Don't you get that? What's wrong with you? Now you go. Say what you just said again.
But I just posed a counter-argument. You must answer the counter-argument.
Look, I am worried about the cost overruns falling back on the taxpayers. Don't you get that? What's wrong with you?
Round and round we go.
Look, I am worried about the cost overruns falling back on the taxpayers. Don't you get that? What's wrong with you?
Are you stuck like this?
Look, I am worried about the cost overruns falling back on the taxpayers. Don't you get that? What's wrong with you?
Moving on to something else then.
Yeah, you see how it works?
But you merely turned an alleged argument into a pile of gibberish and then kept using it. Much like a machine gunner spews randomly.
Right, and it just wore you down. Ma and Pa sitting there on the Barca lounge just let the sounds wash over them. They know they don't understand it, but after a few minutes they don't give a shit anymore.
But they could be watching this show.
Not likely. I checked your ratings before coming here. Besides, we've gone more than 2 minutes. Statistically, this is beyond their attention span. I could say anything at this point. My bland monotone voice by this time has put them to sleep.
You are really quite evil.
Watch help. Help. The dog is on fire and your neighbor Thelma is a lesbian midget wrestler.
Unbelievable.
As long as I bring it back to 0 here, and sum things up in my nice Midwestern accent, and hold my hands like this, and finish with an easy, elementary school delivery.
This is surreal.
And maybe I'll throw in a comment or two about God, or Jesus, or...
I am going to have some sort of brain infarct if I listen to you anymore.
You know, whatever it is the sheeple out there in idiot boxland want to hear, then everything will be all right. You see?
Do you actually have a soul? Are you actually human?
Look, I am worried about the cost overruns falling back on the taxpayers. Don't you get that? What's wrong with you?
This has been the third interview with Florida Governor Rick Scott.
Look, I am worried about the cost overruns falling back on the taxpayers. Don't you get that? What's wrong with you?
Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.